Hi folks, in this video I'm going to demonstrate the scenario where we are collaborating with Git. So we're going to add developer B into the equation and show how we can use Git to as a tool to help us share code and collaborate on code. So we no longer need to email, use Dropbox or some file share to share our code. And then we also no longer need to manually figure out what changed between our teammates' code versus our own code. Okay, so the first, if you remember what we did last time, we have developer A create a repository, and then developer A push the repository to a remote repository at GitHub, and we call this remote origin. So that's kind of where we're at now. And what we're going to show first is developer B cloning down that repository and setting up the repository on developer B's machine. So you've already kind of seen cloning, and now we're just going to see it in the context of two developers. Okay, so if we then move on to this screen here and orient ourselves, on the left side, we have developer A's VS Code, which is where we left off with two files and a git ignore. On the middle top, we're going to have GitHub website, so we can see what is actually what GitHub servers actually see, what was been pushed to GitHub and available on GitHub's servers. And then on the right-hand side, it will be the VS Code that represents developer B's machine. So one thing, I'm going to have developer B use mainly the command line. Sometimes it is more flexible doing things from the command line than doing Git through VS Code's user interface. So I'm going to have developer B use Git through the command line, just so it's just a way to compare and contrast. They should be fairly similar, but there is some flexibility in the command line. And then I'll leave it up to you to decide which Git commands you want to do, whether on VS Code or the command line. And then lastly, this bottom center will kind of give us a visualization of both developers' machine. Okay, so the first order of business is to clone down this repository onto developer B's machine. So I'm going to create a folder representing developer B. And I'm going to open up a terminal. I'm going to go to developer B's folder, or where developer B wants to work. So this is essentially developer B's machine here, and we are going to clone it down using the command line. I'm using the command line through VS Code. You can use the command line through another terminal or console app, but I didn't want to change things up too much. So, and sometimes it'll give us it'll demonstrate how to use the terminal through VS Code, which can be helpful later on. So we're going to clone down. I think I have to make this bigger to get to the URL. And clone down our repo here. Okay. And once we do that, we should see this repository. So I'm gonna delete that and do it again just to see it working, because it was hidden at first. Okay, so we're gonna have this repository on developer B's machine and this repository on developer A's machine. These I should actually delete from last time, since it's already on GitHub, and maybe we'll keep things a little cleaner. Okay, so now we have cloned down the repository to developer B, and now let's move on to actually showing how developer A and B can collaborate with each other. So I'm gonna go over what we're gonna do, all the steps on this picture, and then actually do it on the VS Code and command line here. So maybe hopefully it'll be allow us to better orient ourselves. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, developer A is going to create a feature branch. And then developer A is going to add some changes and then push that branch to GitHub. I'm going to show the same thing for developer B. They're going to work on separate branches. So developer B will make his or her own branch and push that up as well. So call that step A1 and AB. Or 1A and 1B, sorry. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to show developer A pulling in the feature branch of developer B's. And we're going to show developer B doing the same thing, pulling in the changes from developer A's branch. So this will be step 2A and 2B. And then now we're going to have developer A actually merge developer A's branch into master. So there will be a merge on developer A's machine. That'll be kind of the step 3. And developer A would need to then push the master, which is updated now with developer A's feature branch. So that'll be step 4. So again, developer A merges developer A's feature branch into master, and then push that updated master up to our remote, which we have named origin. Then step 5 will involve developer B pulling down the updated master. Developer B will then merge the feature developer the feature developer B's feature branch onto master. That's step 6. And then lastly, step 7, well, not quite the last step, but developer B will then push the new, again, updated master up to the remote master branch. And then in order for developer A and B to kind of sync up on where master is, developer A will then need to kind of pull down master. So developer B had to do that same step, but earlier. And then that more or less completes everything. The last thing to do would be kind of delete the branches and clean up. So that's what we're going to attempt to demonstrate today. And we can start now. So before we start, remember it was good to show, git graph was a good extension to show what's changing. But because developer B is using the command line, we're actually going to do it another way. So if we cd into the demo, and let's reopen code, VS Code in here. So we're actually in the context of the repository. So again, on the right hand side is developer B's Git demo. On the left hand side is developer. This left hand side is developer A's Git demo, and the right hand side here is developer B's Git demo repository. Okay, so now we're in the repository. We can show developer B using Git from the command line. And again, we're not using the Git graph. So from the command line, there's a git log function. So this shows all the commits. Again, you see the SHA, and then we have our branches. But this one is a little bit hard to read because it doesn't have the nice little lines for context and orientation. So I'm going to press Q to quit out of here. And we're going to make it a little prettier. We're going to add a graph. So now we do see how these commits are related. But we don't need all this extra information. So we're going to do git graph again, or git log. We're going to keep the graph and then make it shorter by adding this flag called one line. So now we can see something very similar to what we see in VS Code. So this, might be a feature where you want to use VS Code, but you can do everything on the command line if you desired. Okay. All right. So that's that. So the first thing we want to do is this part here. We're gonna create a branch and have developer A add in a feature, a fake feature. Okay. So let's create a branch. We're gonna branch off of master. Right, we're currently at master, so we're gonna branch off of master. We're gonna call this feature developer A. It's a little bit hard to see, but we see our developer A branch here on the same place where master is, same commit. Okay, so now developer A will add his or her feature. So we're gonna say, we're just gonna add developer A file and just pretend that's a feature. Let's see. A was here. Okay. Just add that in as a way to represent a feature. We're gonna commit this and then name now commit, added developer A's feature. Okay, so this is the same problem we did before, where we needed to configure our username. So let's do that again. I think because we were showing how to clone different ways, we might have basically have a new fresh repository. So again, I'm going to do this by repository and not global, just because of personal preference. So this is developer A, git config user.email, developer A at 491F.demo. Okay, so this, I think we can exit out of here and go back to our commit. Okay, so we've created it, our feature branch, and now let's push it to GitHub. And you'll notice that there are no other branches here, but once we can publish it this way. I think there's another way to push. Yeah, so that's the same thing as publishing. So we do that. So I'm gonna say, don't do that. Okay, so it doesn't show up here, but something did change, but we're gonna refresh it. And we should see our developer A branch here. Okay, so if we check the branches on developer B's machine, developer B does not know anything about this feature branch. Even though developer A has pushed it, developer B does not know anything about it yet because developer B has not interacted with GitHub and has not fetched any information down. Okay, so, but before we do that, we're gonna do this portion, 1B, and have developer B create a feature branch, same thing to what developer A has done, and do the same thing but from the command line. Okay, so with the command line, so first we're gonna create a branch. So we're gonna go git switch -c to create a branch, and we'll give it the branch name. And so it's feature developer B. Okay. So we do git status. Git status is essentially looking at the VS Code panel here. Nothing is still clean, no errors or anything. And if we list out all the branches, we can see we're on this branch now. We were on master. And if we take a look at our git log, we can see that we have our feature branch and it's at the same commit as our master branch. So very similar. So now let's create the developer piece feature. Here I'm going to use VS Code. I think diving into VI might be a little too much. So yeah, I might be conflating topics. So we're gonna say what did developer A called? Okay, so we're gonna say new file developer B text, and then we'll say developer B was here. Okay, so you can still see the same thing in VS Code, but we're gonna use the command line. So if we do a git status here, we'll see that there's a new file that could be added. So we do a git add, which is equivalent to staging. And we do the b text, and then we do git status. So these are staged. So here we see a stage to confirm using VS Code's UI, user interface. And we can also unstage it using this command. So we do git restore stage and say dev b text. We'll notice that it's no longer stage, and the same thing shows up here. Okay, so let's add it back, stage it. We'll commit it, and then we'll probably revert this in a bit. So let's see, what was the commit message on this? What was it? Added developer A's feature. I'm going to say added developer B's feature. Okay, again we have this error or message showing us we didn't set our username and email, and if we did our git log, they actually did it for us. The command line will kind of like auto-populate it for you using this name. So we can just verify that with git graph. So it tries to find the most appropriate name based on your machine. So we are gonna not use that. Let's go back. Oh, yeah, I should be showing the files. So developer A and developer B's file system is changing as we add in the features. So if we took a look, we could just configure it and then amend it. So let's do that. So git config user.name developer B. Give me sorry about that. And let's config user.email developer B at EE491F demo. Okay. And then let's amend our commit here. Using this command. And Git is very good at telling you which commands to run. So if you don't have anything configured, it's going to try to use Vim. So here I put colon, WQ means write and then save. W means to write, Q means to quit. Save and quit. So if we took a look at our graph here, the author and the details have been updated. Another way we could have fixed it is we could have reset our change. And then just recommitted it. So let's do that here. And when we reset, this should go away, right? So let's do git reset hard. And when I say reset to this commit here, and our files, we're back at the original commit, and then our file's gone. So now we can actually let's save this to bring it back. Again, it's untracked. So we'll git add again to stage it. Git commit -m, give it the name, and then here we have it again. And then I guess one other thing, we did a reset hard, which essentially just erased the commit and got you back here. But sometimes you want to reset to fix the commit, but not necessarily get rid of everything. So we could do a reset soft, and then our branch will fall backwards back to this commit, but the changes will still be on our file system. So this file will still exist. So yeah, let's do that. Or this file will still exist. Okay. So the file's still there. We've moved back. So that's the difference between reset hard and reset soft. That's pretty useful sometimes. Okay, so let's add that back in, commit it, and now we're ready to push and perform this step here. Okay, so What else do I want to say? So here, feature A is on local and in the origin. Developer B's one has not been pushed, so there's no origin, I guess, label next to it. But we're going to push it now, git push origin. And because we cloned it down from GitHub, when Git knows that our origin is wherever we cloned from. So in a bit, we should see developer B's branch here. So git push to origin feature developer B branch. Okay, so here is successfully pushed. We see that, and if we are to stick with the command line, git log graph one line, we can see that developer B's branch is also at origin. And if we were to refresh here, we'll see that GitHub has both the developers' branches. So we've done this part, and you notice that developer A's machine still knows nothing about developer B's branch, and developer B's machine knows nothing about developer A's branch. It's on GitHub, so it's there, but on their local machines, they don't see it. Git branch all, right? So in order to do that, we're going to perform this next step where we're fetching. So we're fetching from origin the latest details, whether it's new tags or new commits or new branches. And we're going to do it both ways, VS Code and command line. So in VS Code, if we do git fetch from origin, and here we see developer B's branch and developer A's branch. And this is only on the origin. There's no local developer B branch here. Git knows about it, but it's a remote branch and not a local branch. So now let's do the same thing on developer B side. Okay, no developer A branch, git fetch origin. So we picked up developer A's branch, and then we do git log again. We'll see, we don't see it. We need to give it another option, all. And now we see developer A's branch. And another way to confirm is git branch. So now we see developer A and A's branch here. Again, this is a remote branch. These are local branches, and there's no equivalent developer A local branch. Okay, so now we've done these steps here, and now we're going to have developer A merge the developer A's feature branch into master. So if you remember that, we have to check out to master. So now we're on master, and you notice the file system change. Now we're going to merge in the feature branch, which should also add back the developer A file. Okay, so I think merge into current branch. I think that'll work. Yeah, let's just do that. Merge developer A into the current branch, which is master. So this is fast forward. This is the no fast forward. And I think that's good. Create a new commit, even if fast forward. Yeah. So here, master is now updated. It's in it has more information and more commits than the origins master. And so we're gonna now push our new updated master to our remote. So we're gonna say push branch, and on our master branch on GitHub, we'll refresh. Still knows nothing about the dev.ace feature. And so let's push it. Now the origins master is up to date with our local master. And if we refresh it now, we should see developer.ace feature on master. Okay, and developer.ace branch is still here, which we'll need to delete later. Okay, so now we need developer B to pull down the latest master. If developer B merges with this master here, which is outdated, that's gonna cause a divergence between master, and that's really bad. So before you do any merging, it's always good to fetch and pull from origin. Okay, so let's do that from the command line. Git fetch origin. So here we see master is updated. If we do git log, we'll see that the origins master has the latest changes. We're aware that GitHub has updated, but our local master is still behind. So one way to get our local master up to date with origin master, I think we could do a git pull, but I typically don't do polling. I do a fetch and then a rebase. So we're gonna rebase. Wait, we need to switch to master. Let's see. So to show we're currently on the feature branch, but we want to update master, so we gotta switch to master branch. And then Git will tell you that it's behind. And then we should verify that we are on master branch. And if we check the log, it's hard to see that we're on master. So the best way to see which branch you are is to issue this. And now let's actually rebase our local master onto the origin master. And now we have dev.ace changes. If we then check out the logs here, we'll see that our master is up to date with the origins master. So origin master is what developer B's machine thinks GitHub is at, GitHub's master is at. master branch is at. So again, is what developer B's machine thinks origin's master is at. And origin's master could be different. That's why we have to do these fetching and pulling to kind of make sure that what we think origin's master branch is at is actually uh, what is in reality GitHub's or origin's master branch is at. Okay, so now we have our master updated. Now we want to do our merge here, right? Because we just did this. Now we want to merge. Git, forgot which branch we're on, master. Okay, so that's good. We want to be on the branch that we're merging into. So feature branch of feature developer B's feature branch will be merged into master, and we're currently on master. So now we can do a git merge feature and no fast forward. Here's the commit message. Again, you can configure your VS Code to use another editor, but you need to just save the commit message. Here this is VI, so I'm going to say write as in save, Q as in quit. So you need to save and quit. You can edit it if you want to add notes to yourself, but I normally just don't. Okay, so now it's been merged. You can see both. We're on master branch and we see both files. And I guess it'll show up here too. So now, let's just take a look at our graph. So this is a bit hard to see. Here's developer A's branch. It was merged in, and this was the master that's in GitHub. We pulled that down and updated our logo. And here, you see developer B's feature branch is this green line that actually eventually connects to the older master. This is where we branched off the, this is where the code was at yesterday, at the previous video, end of the previous video. And then this is merged into master here. So that's our local master. And now we need to push it to make sure that GitHub has the latest master. So just to kind of see it more nicely, here's developer B's branch, this pink line. It was branched off of master, and now we're merged it back into master, and the origin or GitHub's master is now behind. So now we got to push it so that GitHub is up to date. So we refresh here. So GitHub only knows what the changes on master up till this point here, right? So now we got to push so that GitHub can get the actual change. So Q to get out of that view, we say git push origin. This will work because this git push origin would work because the master branch is tracked with the upstream. But you want to be explicit, you can just give it the actual branch name as well. Okay, so let's push. And now if we refresh here, it should have both developer A and B. Okay, and if we do a git log, we see that our local master is up to date with the origin master. But again, developer A doesn't know that GitHub or origin has changed. This developer A's machine still thinks GitHub is on, I think it was this commit here. Okay, so we did this and we push. Now we need developer A to get the latest changes on master, and to do that, developer A needs to pull down or get updates from remote, origin remote. Okay, so let's do that. We're gonna go here, and I think we just do a fetch. And then we should see this update. So now developer A's machine knows about the change on GitHub, but its local master is still behind. So we need to bring our local up to date. And once we do that, we should get the dev.b txt file. Let's see, how do we do that? Check out merge into current, pull into current branch. Rename push. I think it's this one. Merge, pull into current branch. Let's just check this branch. Publish rebase, pull. Yeah. So we can do a pull. Yeah, I think that they should all work. So this will be maybe closer to what we did here, where we did a rebase. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna do this one since it's the top level, probably the most common way to do things. And here we've updated, and on developer A's machine, you can see we have all the files from developer B and A. Okay, so the last thing is to clean up. We've completed everything here. Developer A's feature got merged in with developer B's feature, all pretty automatically without us doing manually, looking through the code manually and figuring out what changed and copying things over. So the last thing is to just delete these extra branches that has been merged in and is no longer needed. So I'm going to do it through, I'm going to have developer A delete their own branch. So here I'm going to delete the local branch first. So GitHub has both branches still. So let's delete the branch. And now only the origin is left. So we delete the local branch, but on GitHub, if we refresh, it still has the developer A. So we need to do that as well. So this will delete the remote branch. And another way to do it is through the web user face here. I think you can delete it through here as well. But let's just do it through the VS Code. Okay, so the branch still exists, and we're going to delete it now. Delete the remote branch. So developer A's branch is gone, and if we refresh, it is gone from the origin, which is GitHub as well. But now on developer B side, developer B still thinks it exists. So we git fetch from origin and check again, it still thinks it exists. So what we need to do is say git fetch origin prune to prune off the branches that are no longer in existence. So we do that. We'll see developer A's branch is gone. Issue all. Then you only see developer B's branch left. So let's do the same thing. Git branch delete the feature branch. This will delete the local branch. And then we check out branches again. The local branch is gone. This one's been deleted. And we can verify from the user interface that with the same thing, we will only see the origin. Okay. So now we are going to delete this remote branch. So we git push to origin. Normally you have a local branch name to remote branch name. That's usually how it works. So you can have different branches named differently. But we're gonna basically use this syntax to do a delete. We're going to push nothing to the remote branch name, and that will in essence delete it. And the remote branch name is feature developer. Okay, so again, if we refresh, GitHub still has this developer B, and if once we push this, it'll delete that branch, and if we refresh, the branch is gone. But developer A still has this, still thinks this branch exists. So let's clean this up. We'll do a fetch here. And it's the same thing as what happened on developer B side. It updated, but it didn't prune the branch. So let's do that. I think it was here. So we need to fetch and prune. And that should delete this last developer B feature branch. So if we check out both sides, they're both at the same commit 6EC. Developer B's master and origin masters on the same commit, so that's always good. You always want your local master to be in sync with the origin master, and you also want origin master to be reflecting reality of what's on origin, so you do a lot of fetching. But after you fetch, you want your local master to be in line with origin's master. So here, we've basically cleaned up all the branches we made as we were collaborating, and the developer A and B is ready to work on their next feature. The last thing I want to show is how to use the command line to do some of the similar things we did in the beginning, such as initializing and creating and initializing a repository locally and then pushing it up. So I'm going to move this here, and move this here, and that. So organize this a bit. Okay, so we're gonna just basically create a new repository using the command line. So let's see, we're gonna go up a level to another folder in developer's hard drive. We're gonna make a new directory saying git demo new from CLI. We'll go into git demo, and this is an empty folder. So what we're going to do is git init, and we should see our .git folder. And here's our .git folder. So it was hidden. So again, to remove the .git folder, you will lose your repository. So git status works now, but if we remove the .git folder, it's gone, and then Git's gonna not know what to do without it. So again, let's initialize. So I'm going to create a new file, same as before. Git add. Git add this file. Let's config this to username developer B again. Email. And now let's commit, say, so I guess normally you see an initial commit message. Okay, so and then what we did last time was we created a repository, new repository, and we gave it the same name, git demo, what do we call it? New from CLI. New from CLI. Make this public. We're not going to initialize it because we want to use what we just created. So here we can use these command lines. Git remote origin. Right, want to add a new remote named origin, and give it this URL. So again, if we take a look at the git config file, it's not there yet, but once we add this remote named origin, we can see that the config file has been updated. And if we were to git push, so again, nothing here. Git push origin. So this is setting upstream allows you to automatically have git track, keep your local track your local master against the remote master. So you only need to do this first time, and it's going to add this setting in your config file. So we push it with the set upstream, and if we check the config file, it'll know that your local master should be matching the origins master. And now if we refresh, we'll see our newly added file, which is empty. So we did this all from VS Code, and now you know how to do it from the command line. And then the one last feature that we talked about in VS Code is to selectively stage a file. So if we, let's not use VM. This is opening the old repository, so we need to open a new code with the file. So let's do line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Save that. I guess let's continue using terminal. Status, git add file 1, git commit add lines to file to show selective staging committing. Okay. So here's our file. Okay. So last time we were able to insert different areas of the code, and we're able to kind of stage one, right, and commit it separate from the other change. So we're going to do the same thing from the command line. Okay, so we're going to git add file 1, and P is like a hunk, I think. So here we have the option, and you can look at what these is. I think yes is to commit both, no is to skip it, quit is to stop staging, and I forgot what the other ones are, but E is to edit. We can edit it, and here we can decide if we want to add both or not. So we're going to try to add the first one. So to remove plus delete them. So this is a newly added thing. We're going to say we're just going to stage this first one. So again, we write and quit. And here you see that the first one was staged, but the second one was not. Okay, so I'm going to git restore staged file to get them both unstaged. And I'm going to do the same thing. This time I'm going to use, I think S means to split. So if they're sufficiently far away, Git can split it for you. So here is the first one between line 1 and 2. So we're going to stage that one. And here's the second one. And we're going to say no to this one. And it's in effect the same thing. Okay. So let's commit that. demonstrate committing separate lines of code. And then here we can do same thing. If you split, there's nothing can split. And so we just say yes. Let's get commit demonstrate committing second part of file. And then we can just push to origin. And that should go away. So that should close the loop on everything we did in VS Code and doing the same thing using the command line. But the main part of this video is really showing how to collaborate. The command line, you can learn up on it as we go, but I think the real power of Git is allowing teams to collaborate on code, and this branching and merging is super useful. I will go in the next videos of Git. I'm going to go through some scenarios where you might encounter where things you might have did a step out of order and run into certain problems. So those are edge cases, but if you are able to remember to always poll master before you merge and poll master frequently, then it'll save you a lot of headache. And also make sure your local master is up to date with the origin master once you've polled master. That should avoid most of the headaches people encounter with Git as they're learning. But for now, this is the happy trail, and if you can do this in Git, you're 80% of the way there to using Git as a real amazing collaborative tool. All right, thank you for watching.